Yes, good morning. Welcome back to DR Sports. It's another transfer roundup. We're approaching the crucial period of this transfer window, boys. We're going to break it down and also look at some of the hot pre-season topics as well, including this man's team losing to Manchester United. But before we get into all of that, make sure you like the video. We've got the main man, Matisse. We've got Laurie, fresh in his Yardman shirt.
Yardman, big up the reggae.
Yep, got a lovely draw yesterday against the French. And of course, Fuad is here as always to discuss the very finest football news. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start on the pre-season scores, or should we go straight into the Mbappe breaking news?
I feel like we got to start there.
Yeah,
it's the big one.
It is the big one.
Just on the way in, I just kind of saw it. But
well, listen, this is it. If you have missed it, this is breaking news. Al Hilal have made a world record £259 million bid for France International, and PSG allegedly will accept the bid if he doesn't extend his contract by July 31st. So, Kylian, you've got a week to decide what you want to do. The first question is, that's a mad amount of money. I'll come to you first. Give me the perspective of Al Hilal and the perspective of PSG/Mbappe here after reacting to this news.
I mean, if you're Al Hilal, this is the biggest chess move I've ever seen in football. I think this goes beyond football at this point, honestly. It's a 1 year loan, essentially, is what you're saying, this 259. I remember when PSG boy, it was a world record fee. It was like, at the time, all right, but they're going to have Mbappe at least for a couple of years. And as you can see, they're probably going to recoup the money. This 1 year and then go to Madrid for free next year, basically. But what it does is it gives the Saudi Premier League, which is trying to make as much noise as it can this summer, the ultimate co-sign. I feel like you've already got Ronaldo, you've already got a few of the other big stars, N'Golo Kante, Benzema, Ballon d'Or holder,
Firmino,
you get
Mahrez.
Mbappe, Firmino, Mahrez. There's so many players. Neves, Milinkovic, Savic,
Mendy.
You now
Koulibaly.
go and get the current best player in the world, in my opinion.
People watch.
It's a game changer.
It forces you to watch.
It literally does.
Because, you know, I guess a lot of jokes have been made who's going to be watching the Saudi League next season. We've had Robbie and X pick their teams. But if Mbappe does go there, financially, could they make that money back? I mean, they're allegedly wanting to spend 700 million on wages, but if they spend the 259, how can they make that a financial decision where they go, we can actually recoup on this?
I don't think they're looking to make money back. I think they just want the promotion, the advertising,
the shiny toy.
Yeah, and it does force you to watch. Because I've been kind of like, will I watch it?
You're going to be doing watch-alongs now.
I am football focused, and I wasn't sure if I was going to watch it because listen, Ronaldo going over there at this stage of his career is not for me a big enough draw to watch it. But the more they keep adding the players, I'm thinking, these starting 11s might be cooking. You add Mbappe to that, the best player, I will be there. We will be there. DR will be there, I'm sure.
DR will be there.
I don't know what time zone that's in.
We might nothing too early, I hope.
Yeah,
late,
exactly.
I hope.
Exactly. But yeah, no, Mbappe would be a massive move. And for Mbappe, though, his perspective, it's very difficult to turn down 700 million. You know, that's ridiculous for 1 year. But I think for him, he's still going to try and, by some sort of magnetic force, take himself to Real Madrid. You know, when you see that kind of money, he's gonna have to put the blinkers on, because if he thinks about it too much, he's gone. But I think if he's just, you know, tunnel vision on this Real Madrid move, legacy, and you know that kind of thing, then
question though, is the legacy still not there in a year's time? Is it not 1 year of go and make the most absurd 13 million a week?
It's ridiculous.
Like we talk about, you know,
no tax
he's getting
as well,
500
by the way.
grand a week. I can't believe 13 million a week.
Which is basically 26 million a week, because you don't have to tax.
You don't have to. It's absurd, bro. I'm sorry, but when you talk about life-changing money, generation money, I know we say sometimes, Doyle was here saying money's money or whatever, but for 1 year, go and just do that, and then my Madrid move is for free as well. Madrid will actually benefit from that because they're not paying a fee,
and his signing-on fee will be good.
Stupid. The next move I get as well, the contract will be good as well. So for him, essentially, I feel like it's a win-win-win regardless. The only question is I think, how do people kind of look at Mbappe and football in terms of if this move happens? Because I think there is a kind of damn, money really is changing football. But I feel like football a long time ago, lots of traditions and morals, and for now, all of a sudden,
this is a new level, though.
This is a new level. Why is it a new level now? Because all of a sudden, the Premier League and the rest of Europe is being minimalised. When they've been doing it to the rest of the world, it's been absolutely normalised and absolutely. It's the power of the game. No, now the game has shifted a little bit, and all of a sudden, it's uncomfortable. For me, I think Al Hilal could win from this, Mbappe could win from this, and do you know what?
PSG will win massively from this.
Well, that was my next question for Laurie. It's like, what's PSG's situation now? Because they've clearly made a statement to him saying, look, they're almost forcing him to sign this contract, and if he doesn't, they're saying, right, when does that change between we want you to sign the contract to then going, right, let's just get as much money as we can for you? What has happened?
Well, first of all, it's seismic for everybody involved, even people who are not involved, even the likes of us, the way we're talking about it. When I heard the news, I was like, he's got to take it. It's just simply, you're talking about future generation. You know, you talk about generational wealth. This is generation upon generation. This is your grand. It would be remiss of him not to take it.
He'd be one of the richest people in the world.
Yeah. And, you know, like Fuad quite rightly said, you've got the option there. After a year, he could go to Madrid. But you know what? I'm going to say that if he takes it, given what it means globally, I reckon he'll probably stay for more than a year. I don't see this being just a year thing. And I think that this could be a real game changer.
Yeah, I mean, it's the biggest name.
Euros is next summer as well, France.
And that's where I say
he's not going to lose his French play. He's captain of France.
He's captain. He's won it all and done it all.
He's basically got the golden ticket to do whatever he wants for a year.
Personally, I hope he takes it because I would like to see football developed in that part of the world. Football, as we all know, is a global sport, and everyone's talking about money. Let's be honest, man. Any league that has been the highest profile, it's always underpinned by money. Back in the day when it was Go Lazio, the Italian league, money. La Liga, money.
Each league has had their decade of dominance in terms of...
And what's underpinned that?
Money.
Yeah, so, and it's literally the Western world that's taken over. You know, you look at all the quality players that come from Africa. If they had the money to retain those players, maybe they would have the best leagues in the world. So obviously, you know, for Europe, they're gonna have egg on their face in this situation. But for PSG, this is the golden ticket for PSG. Forget Mbappe. Mbappe gonna make his move, make his money. But PSG right now, if they don't close this deal, they're gonna lose him for a fraction of what they've paid, and they're gonna lose him for a fraction of what his value is. Because I was hearing talk of 100 million euros. I was like, Anthony money.
Yeah, it's absurd.
I was like, Anthony money for Mbappe. Anthony money for Mbappe. I think that's how far they've fallen. Did you see the statement they put out?
Yeah.
They were crying, real tears publicly. It was crazy.
The thing is, I don't think this is the end of it as well. I think this could also, in a weird way, one of my boys mentioned this morning as well. He said it could be a PR move from Mbappe's perspective, because obviously he turned down Madrid last year. And a way to get into Madrid fans' good books is to look like you've turned away the big money deal. And do you know what? I'm actually coming to Madrid. And now they come open up arms to him and say, do you know what? Welcome to Madrid.
And if Madrid wait for a week, they could get him for free, could they not?
How so?
Well, Mbappe's, how long's he got on his contract left? Mbappe?
Well, no, because 1 year is left on his contract. Okay. But essentially what they're saying is they want to move him by then PSG. I get what you mean. Yeah.
But think of all those other players as well, Fuad, that are probably wavering. Of, you know, Saudi have reached out to them and they said, boy, you know, now that Mbappe's gone.
Who are you to say? Who are you to say no if Mbappe said yes?
Yeah, that's a great question.
I can see the floodgates open.
Listen, we've heard of the verbal offer from Saudi, but there are obviously other clubs that may be alert to this news. Should I even mention Tottenham? Because they've been on the list. Manchester United, Chelsea, Al Hilal, Real Madrid.
Tottenham express an interest in Mbappe at this point. It's a bit like me walking down Mayfair.
I don't do that. Don't do that.
On my meagre resources, knocking on someone's door, selling the house and saying,
listen.
How much you want for that?
Listen, facts.
Literally facts.
That interview, everyone keeps throwing up this Mbappe interview with Tom Holland about him. He said
Zendaya.
Never rule anything out. That was how he ended it. He said, never rule anything out in football. Listen, you might mortgage the stadium. You never know. You know what I'm saying?
There's no
sell a few more Beyonce tickets.
Hey, I think all the Harry Kane swap deal though.
Now that is something.
Mbappe has to agree to that.
That is something.
Listen, put a man in a dark room. You convince him. Do some strong negotiations.
No, you're not, you guys just had the worst season actually that you've had in years. No Champions League qualification.
I've just seen a supreme French prospect in Victor Wembanyama. I don't know if you guys watch the NBA.
Basketball.
It's gone to the San Antonio Spurs. They were one of the worst franchises last year. He's about to rejuvenate that and turn that back.
But obviously their system
and now you've
works
got a French superstar
Be
here.
very Spursy if
Spurs.
they had Mbappe instead.
You see what I'm saying? Listen, work with me here.
Their draft system works differently in that the worst team gets the next big team to draft. So that's why they got Wembanyama first. It's very different.
Listen, it's obviously. I actually thought the reporters were joking at the time.
Can you imagine Mbappe walking up into the complex and seeing Eric Dyer and thinking, "Who's that?"
Walking past Chick King, I don't know, man. Stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened. But there you go.
No, but seriously, I want him to take the deal. I think it could be a game.
Actually, yeah. Let's go around the table. Yeah, yes or no? Are you for or against the deal?
I'm both for. I think he'll do it, and I want him to do it because I think it'll be a game changer.
What do you say?
If Saudi clubs were in the Champions League, I'd be for it. But because they're not in the Champions League, I'm going to say go Real Madrid.
Like you said, it's a seismic chess move because how do Real Madrid react to this? Does it push them up the queue to?
They can't match that.
Let me take my off and put an Mbappe hat on.
Yeah,
I go for a year and then I'll walk into Madrid for free.
I do the same. I think I would love to just see the knock-on effect this has on
But
how European clubs react, B, how PSG rebuild as well, but then what players start moving after Mbappe's gone, what type of deals start getting offered as well, because all of a sudden now the benchmark is the ceiling's been blown off basically.
I feel like Mbappe's in that special category of player though that you can't chat to.
But let's say Haaland's City deal now ends and he's like, yo, I want a year in Saudi. Does that become like the new trend where the superstar players, if they're 23, 24, they can now decide, I want to take a year in Saudi, go get paid, go and do my 1 year over there, and then I'll come back to Madrid or Barca. It could become, players always wait for MLS late in their career.
Yeah.
This might be the new.
I mean, when Ronaldo went, people
said, so I'm curious to see the knock-on effect it kind of has on football as a whole.
That's a great point because UEFA now, they're saying we've got a Champions League and the star player's not in it. So the Saudi League now, is that taking viewers away from UEFA? Mm-hmm. How do they react to it?
Don't forget, they do love football in that part of the world.
They have the Israeli league in the Champions League, don't they?
Yeah. But it's because they didn't want to play. They couldn't agree with the Arab teams basically to get their fixtures done properly. Yeah. So
and let's not underestimate, as I said earlier, they do love football in that part of the world. That is beyond dispute.
Listen, Qatar was just held there. You saw the Saudi Arabians, how they reacted when the results were going in at the World Cup against Argentina and stuff. It's definitely a growing sport out there for sure. So this will only
how long until we have to pack up everything here and go over there ourselves and start.
I'm game, man. Listen,
shows over there.
Listen, it would be my dream. It would be my dream, man. I would love it. And I think I deserve it.
Honestly, Dear Saudi.
The face of football might be about
dream. I do it for free.
What do you mean?
I always wanted to go and do fan cams in Saudi. It's been a big dream of mine, actually.
Listen, get a nice little tan going.
Yeah, it takes me a while, but didn't get one in Jamaica.
You said it would change the face of football.
If Mbappe goes there,
I agree. It's a mark in the sand for the sport.
I've described it as
where were you when Mbappe went to Saudi? It's one of them moments. Massoum Pervez with the super chat. Spurs fans have completely lost their minds. Massoum says that's the only super chat that we've got so far. But yeah, there you go. I mean, that one we could do a whole hour show on that, but we will move on because there's other stuff to talk about. But as we mentioned, PSG readying the exit of Mbappe if they agree for this deal. I mean, could they just, last question, yes or no, could they even say give us 300 and we'll do it?
I think
who's to say they would accept that first bid?
I think PSG will take that. They're on the brink. Yeah. They're on the brink. Like, I don't know if you saw the statement, but I can't remember it word for word, bar for bar, but it was literally tears, crying. Please don't do this to us.
You would say to a girlfriend who's like on the way out.
Yeah, literally.
Please listen.
Please don't do this.
I love you.
Don't do this to our fans. The financial future of the club. You promised us. You told us this. We did the 2025 shirt release, and then it was. I've never seen a big club act like that ever.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a statement drop like that for any player on the exit? Even for a free. Arsenal, look how many players Arsenal lost on a free or that they should have got market value for. You never saw them crying over Van Persie like this. Obviously, this is astronomically huge in terms of the finances. But
although I would say that Mbappe for PSG is
the face.
Yeah.
But even
absolutely.
still, you're going to
lose
cry.
Messi and Mbappe in the same window financially.
But I think with Messi, everyone kind of.
Yeah.
I think I do know Stuart, PSG fan. He wasn't that bothered about losing.
Yeah,
Messi.
it was to sell more
Mbappe's
tracksuits
different
kind of thing. Right, let's move back on to more relatable transfers instead of world records. We are also keeping an eye on the Liverpool game. They are playing Greuther Fürth behind closed doors in Germany, and Luis Diaz has just scored a goal in that one. But let's go back to Crystal Palace because we were going to. Title and thumbnail this video of Wilf Zaha going to Galatasaray. The Mbappe news broke, but we'll treat this as the secondary piece of news because, again, Wilf had 200k a week offer on the table from Palace. Of course, he had deals from Saudi on the table. I'm asking the same question to all of you. Why has he gone to Galatasaray for free? 3-year deal agreed, medical booked. It's been confirmed by Fabrizio. We saw him greeting the fans last night. So.
It's a weird one for me.
That one was mysterious to me. I mean, and I don't want to disrespect Galatasaray or the Turkish league, but that kind of come out of nowhere for me. I honestly thought he was going to go Saudi. I mean, in the light of what's happening with Mbappe now, he's probably thinking, gee, man.
He probably should have gone, in my opinion. I think that was probably the move to make.
Yeah.
Kind of go and get a payday. You've done your years of service in the biggest league in the world for a club where you're one of the greatest players there. Go and get your payday and kind of rise up into the sunset. And that's the thing. Like, you're almost going to be the face of a new frontier, of a new league.
There's Kante, there's Benzema.
Absolutely.
No disrespect to Turkish league, but it's not the highest level, nor are the biggest names there. So it's like, what are you really?
He will be playing Champions League football.
He will be playing Champions League, yeah. That's the one thing. But even I think there was Italian clubs that were looking at him as well that were in Champions League, and that's a top 5 league. So it's still quite strange.
That's the only kind of saving grace, I think, is that he could win some titles, he could play in the Champions League, but really and truly, I don't know. As you said, I think there were other clubs he could have gone to in Europe if it was just the Champions League thing.
I think one of the things that may have appealed to him, just looking from outside in, is that they may have presented the project to him as you're going to be that big face.
Possibly, yeah.
They're a big club.
Possibly, yeah.
They're a big club.
Because they've just signed Icardi as well. Yeah. Cedric Bakambu, I think it is. So they've made a few signings.
So he'd be their flagship signing. So he may look at that and think, I'm spearheading that new Galatasaray
I just
project.
thought there was quite some decent-sized Italian clubs looking at him. I thought it would.
But I'm just wondering, in the light of the Mbappe news now, if Mbappe does go, he'd probably be thinking to himself, you know what?
He probably did consider it, to be fair, and it could be, but once again, I think Galatasaray, the good side of it, you do have to say, is a massive footballing club.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The atmosphere,
the institution of Turkish football.
And I always feel like in the Champions League, they're always one of those teams that are just always in there. Like when Drogba was there, when Icardi's now signed. I always feel like they have these kind of runs where you just remember those teams.
Isn't Dzeko there?
No, I believe.
Where did he go?
Fenerbahce.
That's the funny one as well, because if I wasn't mistaken, like 2 or 3 days ago, it was Fenerbahce who he was linked with, and all the fans were kind of flooding his messages and come to Fenerbahce, and then to sign for the rivals for me is an interesting one. Now I'm like, I think Fenerbahce fans might have that extra fire for him
as well
before he's even kicked the ball.
Yeah. And I'm sure that might have crossed his mind. Turkey is that kind of sleeping giant of European football, isn't it? You get the feeling that if one of those clubs really did take off...
We said that at the last Euros as well, didn't we?
Yeah. But in terms of the population, we know that they love their football. They do produce very talented players.
Yeah. They beat Arsenal in the year 2000 in the UEFA Cup final, didn't they?
Oh, yeah.
With Naeem.
Hey! That's a good recall there, man. You try to forget that one, yeah?
He's doing his job. I mean, that lucky
Where'd you pull that one out from?
No, because I remember the final.
I remember as well.
Didn't you get lobbed from the halfway line?
Yeah.
Seaman.
Damn.
Boy, it's the first time in his career that happened. But yeah, listen, he's made the move.
Fair play to him.
He's gonna obviously be playing in the Champions League. Will he get out of the groups? But fair play to him. The only thing I can't get is that deal. There's no way. And this shows to me that I have to give him respect, because it can't be all of you about the money on this one, because he's turned down Saudi and 200k a week at Palace still.
Yeah.
to take.
It,
I mean,
it looks to all intents and purposes that somebody that's wants a new challenge, a fresh challenge. And it's a fair play to him. But
what would he be getting?
I would say again that Saudi move, I would have thought
is
that.
But is it still open for him, that move? It's a 3-year deal, this one.
I mean,
depends how he plays.
Depends how he plays, but Galatasaray, I've just seen they won the league there last year, obviously. I think if you're choosing between Galatasaray and Palace, I think you've done everything you can do at Palace now. There is nothing. There's literally nothing more to do.
Yeah, he's completed Palace.
Yeah, you've played in the Premier League.
He tried to go away to United. Home is where the heart is. He's come back. Now he's like, right.
Unless he was going to one of the top 6 Premier League teams, or he's going abroad.
I respect it though.
One of the European teams. It's not
a player that's often been described as the best player outside the top 6.
Yeah, there was a point when Arsenal tried to
at a point, I think the level of the league has gone up now to the point where that is no longer the case. But at one point, it was
for many years though. He was like the one of the first 3 names you always thought of outside the top 6. Yeah.
Staying with Palace, we're also hearing that Michael Olise could be available for 35 million. That's his release clause. We're also hearing today Chelsea have put their hat in the ring, as have City as well, because they need to potentially replace Mahrez. They've still got players that could play there. But the question I'm now asking you, I mean, we've got a Palace fan in the office here. I asked him, I said, mate, what's going on with your club? Where does a Michael Olise end up, or should he stay at Palace, or is 35 million a bit low? How has that only just come out now with Zaha leaving? I think
if those bids are serious from Chelsea and City, I think Olise would seriously need to consider whether he wants to stay at Palace.
Would you want him at Chelsea?
I really like the player.
Have you got space for him?
He's a talented player. For me, we do have enough wingers, so I'm quite surprised. Sterling is having a poor pre-season, but I don't expect him to go anywhere. But I am surprised that we're moving for a right winger, a proper touchline winger. If you're talking about a Mahrez replacement, this guy is literally the Mahrez regen. He's literally, stylistically so similar. It's ridiculous. Passing range. I think he needs to add more goals to his game, but he's definitely, you even seen him tuck in in the midfield 3 there with Eze and a sitter there throughout the season as well. So he's great ball manipulator, controller. I think he's a quality player. He's going to be top, and for that price, I mean, he could be worth double that.
Whoever his agent is, fair play, because you had an 8 million release clause in his Reading deal, and then now you've got a 35 million.
Caicedo's agent could learn.
And for me, I think this is a player that could potentially be world class. He's got all the kind of tools there. He just needs kind of the right coaching, the right development. I think at Palace it's kind of been stop-start because of injuries or kind of Vieira coming.
He's injured now, I think.
But I think second half of the season we really saw the full capacity of what he could be. The chances created, the assist, like he was pulling results out. Him and Eze,
like Matisse, he's adding goals to his game, and some of them
and I feel
dead ball situations as well.
At this stage of your career now, you go somewhere like City, where you can be part of a winning team, maybe not be the focal point, but be part of the squad, and then eventually develop into that kind of talent. I think that's the move to make right now.
35 mil as well.
I think Chelsea is almost like a dead end. You're looking at Madueke, you're looking at Mudryk, you're looking at Sterling. There's far too much competition
more as well.
Yeah,
we have.
It's got to be City though.
For me, if he picks us over City, I'd be surprised. Apparently, he's excited by our project and he would join.
He's a former Chelsea boy as well.
Yeah, he's from Cobham as well. Yeah. I think Angelo, I've been really impressed with his pre-season, but it looks like he's going on loan to Strasbourg. Sterling's been poor. The more of these talents, we were linked with Kudus, we were linked with Cherki as well. The more I hear these wonderful names,
you just want to collect them like Infinity Stones.
For me, I actually don't want us to obviously get all of them because that's just absurd. But see my patience for Sterling's performances. If we're linked with these players, it's very, very.
So what's the deal with Sterling? Because you called him out a few times.
Yeah, because he's playing. Look, it's only 2 preseason games, but for what he earns and for the experience he has and the age he's at,
he's got to be doing more.
He has to perform. Like, it's not an option. He has to perform. We've got so many young players.
So what is it with him? Do you think he's physically past his prime? Do you think there's a motivation problem?
I can't put a conclusion on it because it's too early. Pochettino's had 2 games with him, and I'm expecting him to improve when the season starts and to really kick on. But I'm just saying he has to play well. He's not currently, and with these talents that you're getting linked with, like most Chelsea fans at this point, even if you do rate Sterling, you're looking at what he can do for you, and you're looking at the potential of an Olise or a Kudus, and you're thinking,
I always got the impression with Sterling,
it's tough
though,
to part
that
with this right now if he's not playing well.
I always got the impression, you know, you get some players, they're quality players, but they peak at a certain club, and I just felt that he may have peaked at City, and anything after that, you're going to be slightly.
It usually is the
less
case.
than-
I always
yeah.
think if a player bursts on the scene at 16, 17, by the time they usually get to about 28, 29, you've probably seen their peak. I remember it was
came
similar
through at
case even
Liverpool,
with Rooney,
Sterling at
like
16.
a lot. It's hard to maintain that supreme level for
Owen.
10 plus years. Owen even, like
Basically
only
retired
Ronaldo and
after
Messi
21.
are the kind of freaks that have normalized, you can perform 15 years at this level. Like Sterling, I still think he can be a top quality player, but as you said, I think being one of the more experienced players, having had that kind of season of adaptation, if you like, this has got to be kind of the year he really almost leads the
Is it
young
his
guard.
last chance in the Prem, would you say, this season? Maybe last
year?
chance in the Prem to either stay in it, or if it doesn't work out, go to a Saudi or go to a Europe.
Do you know, I'll be honest with you, I would love to see him at Bayern Munich. I think somewhere like Bayern Munich, he fits the mould. That kind of Sane, Gnabry mould winger where they love
play
it.
up front as well.
He could play up front.
Yeah.
Like I think that could be a move.
if you're
It's such a
Sterling
shout.
and it don't quite work out for you at Chelsea, come January or next season, you're Saudi bound, man.
Speaking of
he'll have loads
Chelsea,
of
Imagine
offers,
if Kane is already there as well.
He'll have loads of offers.
yeah, you won't be short. Chelsea as well have confirmed that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has joined Marseille.
Good
Thoughts
move.
on that?
Happy.
From both of you, actually.
Happy. I've been saying to Laurie, you know, I never wanted Aubameyang to sign in the first place. So it's just, we've wasted his time. I feel sorry for him, to be honest, because personally he's been going for it. Then obviously the Barcelona, he was pretty settled and happy there. We take him, sack the manager that he wanted to work with literally one game after they've played. Played together, and then the next thing you know, he's had a pretty pointless season. So for me personally, it's just good for that to come to an end. It was a waste of a signing.
For me, it's no secret that I'm a big fan of Aubameyang, and I still am. Unlike some ungrateful Arsenal fans, I remember what he did for the club. Didn't end the best, and he has to take some responsibility for that. But you cannot hide what the man did. Big fan of him, like him as a player and as a person. Went through some personal upheaval. We all know at Barca he got robbed, suffered injury, facial injury. I think he got his jaw broken, didn't he? Or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
For right from the start at Chelsea, it didn't work out. It's just one of those moves where you feel that's not going to work. It didn't work out.
Doesn't work.
Now I hope he's got some fresh impetus by going to
He'll
Marseille.
feel back at home in a way.
Mate, have you
he's
lot
played
not
in
seen
France.
what Lacazette's been able to do this year?
Yeah, exactly.
Second to
He will
Mbappe.
go and see that and be like, hey, wait for me, I'm coming.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed they're not actually in the same team.
Yeah.
No, I want them
They're
going toe
massive
to toe.
rivals now.
Marseille,
Yeah.
Lyon,
Yeah.
the kind
Yeah,
of two
massive
teams
rivals.
I love it.
Payet's left Marseille now as well.
Ooh, so we can make that
So he
dressing
could
room
be
his
the
own.
captain maybe as well.
I like that.
Yeah, I just want to say I hope it works out for him. He deserves success.
Well, again, like we always do, we'll be keeping an eye on the French league as well over the season on DR Sports. By the way, there is, just before we move on to Tottenham and Harry Kane, over 3,500 of you watching right now.
Damn.
Get the likes up, right? I'm not going to say how many we've got currently, but we need to be seeing that times in by 10.
But you know what? Big up to all the people watching. That's
100%.
that's
As
good.
they always do, they love the
Good
show.
amount. They obviously knew I was coming on the show.
And they thought, Robbie's lost some weight.
That's what they keep saying.
That's what they keep saying. It's not my words, by the way. Cheers, Robbie. Hope you're well, mate. Right, let's go to Tottenham. We're hearing that Joe Lewis, the owner of Tottenham, has given an ultimatum now to Harry Kane. He's told Daniel Levy that he must sell Harry Kane this summer. Bayern Munich will return this week with a new bid for Harry Kane. We've seen journalists throwing up Kane 9 shirts to Ange in the press conferences. He was't a fan of that.
You happy with yourself, mate?
But you happy if Trevor won?
got what you want out
I
of
hope
it?
you had a good laugh about it, mate. So I'm not and we're also seeing that Bayern have been putting the discourse out there saying, well, listen, if he's a liar, he won't come, but he's going to stick to his word.
Can I just jump in and
go for it?
You see this Daniel Levy guy? He's been the face of Tottenham, thinking that he's the big.
And then
bad
Joe
wolf.
Lewis goes,
and
"Yo,
he's like,
tell him to sign a new deal."
Shut up.
Don't you think
you're
that
not the boss, you know?
You're not the, don't get ahead of yourself, you know. Daniel Levy has come with this aura over the last couple of years. Tough negotiator, big bad wolf, and he's gonna keep his key players, and he's not gonna. Joe, I didn't even know who this guy's.
That's
who's this guy?
That's what's so interesting for me.
Remember
Is
who
like,
pays you, Daniel, yeah?
that's what's so interesting for me is the silent owner who we've had for the past
Joe
20
Lewis.
years.
Who is this guy?
Joe Lewis has all of a sudden, we all seem to know the ins and outs of what he's messaging in the industry. I'm like, I ain't heard from this dude in over a decade. But all of a sudden now we know the text between him and my chairman. I don't know how much truth there is to it, but I do think there is definitely a sense of you have to sell him this summer.
How long does this ultimatum last though? Before someone's got to show their cards or make a move?
January, if I'm honest.
Really?
I think
because he can sign
January actually he can sign pre-agreements, isn't it? Well, yeah, till the end of this window. I've said on previous shows in here where the poor planning that has time and time again led us into these ruts.
We've got 5 weeks.
What cost us this season?
Got 5 weeks till it ends.
We've had 5 years to know Kane has been wanting to leave for the past 2 or 3 years. You should have been planning and preparing. You can say, yeah, Richarlison was bought last year. Sorry, not enough quality. And we've always said replacing Harry Kane is never going to be one player. I think that's the fear this summer is you let go Harry Kane. How do you replace that number of
the time
goals?
that you've got and the fact that everyone knows how much money you'll have in your bank account?
Exactly. And when you're hearing Højlund, who's got 9 league goals in Syria, being quoted for 80 million, Osimhen, who's being quoted for 160 million. So these are the caliber of players we should be looking at to replace, but the market is at a ridiculous place. So it's...
The one thing I would say about that did slightly surprise me is that
I'm telling you, we are in a jam.
Big catch-22.
The one thing that did surprise me about that,
you can't lose him for free.
Is Harry Kane going to Bayern? I didn't see that from.
I didn't see that coming either.
It's the same Zaha thing though again, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're playing Champions League football, you're winning silverware, and it's like, okay, I'm hitting my target.
Go for 3 years.
But there's only
the Premier League record.
He does need to go.
Is the
but
obsession.
what I'm saying is, I was slightly surprised.
But there's only so many places he can go because unless Manchester United come in for him, what are the top 6 England team? There's nobody. It has to be Manchester United.
United will come final week of the window.
I'm sure they will.
I'm telling
the fact that Højlund is not done, means
I'm
that Manchester United will be there.
United are just biding their time, trying to feel out the market.
How do you feel about him going to United?
I've said, for me, that is the only move that made sense. It's almost, I've seen Berbatov go there, I've seen Carrick go there. Teddy Sheringham. So for me, it's like, if you're going to go, if that's going to help you compete and go and win your titles or whatever, go for it. I've said Harry Kane doesn't owe us anything. No Spurs fan can be upset about Harry Kane leaving. This has been coming.
But he's leaving and going to Bayern.
How have you let it get to this situation?
He's leaving and going to Bayern, and then he's leaving and going to Man United. I would suggest it's two.
I don't think
it doesn't make a difference.
Man United and Tottenham are not rivals like that. If he was to go to Arsenal or Chelsea, that's a different conversation.
Yes.
That's treason. That's betrayal. That's okay. Now
Blasphemy,
your legacy's
gone.
No statue. Shirts are getting burnt. Trust me, if he went to one of our clubs, Kane's legacy at Tottenham is dead in the water.
We're torching his house.
In fact, I think actually it could kick off. I'm not gonna lie. I think it.
No, it will.
It kick off.
This will be worse. Like Sol Campbell left us when he, I don't know, still hadn't become the great. Harry Kane is one of our greats. It cannot happen yet.
Well,
our greatest.
It's a good point you make because Manchester United, we've been hearing about the Højlund thing. They're probably going, well, hang on, Højlund, you just chill in the airport for a bit. Because we might actually be able to get Harry Kane here.
Yeah.
So
you're gonna have to
if they do come in last minute,
United, I kind of get.
Then how's he going to say no to that? And then where does Højlund go? Or do you not care?
Højlund will stay where he is and continue to develop.
Go and get some more goals.
I think United though are being crazy to not even make a bid yet, or at least put the feelers out.
Are they just looking at the market thinking, could we slide in? Or
also the talks on their takeover has gone pretty quiet, which I think has kind of halted their money side a little bit, so they're trying to be smart with their spending.
When is that going to get resolved? That
but the thing is with Manchester United, they're the only big club that I've seen that are maybe potentially financially needing a little bit of input, but have not taken advantage of the Saudi league yet. Like you've got a lot of dead wood in that.
Well, they sold Tellez for 4 mil, isn't it?
10 mil apparently.
They got the worst deal. First one. They got the cheapest deal. What is that? Like
10 million. Al Nassr.
This is 10 million.
10 million.
This is a guy that was smacking in 15 goals in the Portuguese league not so long ago. But you've got quite a few players that if you need to raise funds for Kane, then you know, chat to someone. Do you know what I mean? Chat to Saudi. But I think Man United, if they need a needle mover, Kane is the needle mover. They immediately
he almost instantly takes them from third to potentially first.
Outsiders.
Yeah, because
outsiders for.
I've been a little bit surprised that United haven't been a bit more vigorous in their pursuit.
Well, I think they're still waiting for some departures as well, aren't they? Because they've got Fred, who's negotiating with Fulham. McTominay has been rumoured to be leaving out. I think those could be kind of significant chunks, let's be honest. Like,
no, but what I'm saying is I wouldn't have thought that they would have
for...
waited for those deals to get done. I'd have thought they would have made Kane their number one target.
Do you know what? 20 years ago, they would have just first day of the transfer
Mount
window.
Has always been, I think getting that midfielder was always kind of their number one issue in addressing this summer. Because Eriksen last year, you could tell, all right, he can come on, plaster the gap, but we need something more permanent.
Can I just say, I think this window for me, once again, shows why Manchester City, I don't feel sorry for us as the losers table, the losers club, because you look at how you spend your money, right?
Is that really what we're
That's what it is. That's how Robbie's been putting it.
The losers table.
Here. Yeah, the losers table. Everybody that
Robbie's gonna have to speak for himself.
In terms of Manchester City, oh my God, they're dominating. Someone stop them, please. Heaven help us. When we talk about spending the money correctly, there's Harry Kane available now for around about 100 million. Okay, Anthony. Man United must be thinking, wow, did we really have to pay that much? Sancho, did we have to pay that much? You look at Elise, 35 million.
Deals.
There is value. There's still value. There's always value in the market every single year. It's just whether or not you have the patience and the know-how to navigate through the bullshit. And a lot of clubs, including mine, really don't. So there's always value. And Man City, they're the ones that get it. So it's just going to show once again
McAllister 35, when you're looking at Rice. I mean, McAllister last season, I think it was 10 goals. 8 assists or something like that. So
there's value in the market.
There.
There's always value in the market.
It is a chess game though, because if a club know how much money you've just received in your bank account, as they should, they're going to say, well, we want that. Just send us that, and then you can have whoever you want.
I'm trying to get a Declan Rice replacement now. They are getting charged,
that's the
and I love it.
That's the bad thing.
80 million.
Literally.
I described it the other day on one of the shows.
He's injured now.
Swear.
I think he broke his arm.
I described it the other day on one of the shows I was on as it's a bit like currently if you live in London and you sell your house, but then you're looking to buy another house in London, that money that you thought you'd made is going to be swallowed up with the purchase of a new house. So
maybe not for some people. Another team that have had an incredible window so far, Aston Villa. I don't think much has been said, or not enough has been said about them signing Moussa Diaby, who again flirting with the Saudis. It was very close, but 5-year deal now at Villa, and we're hearing that Morgan Sanson will join Nice.
Although they could lose Douglas Luiz.
Well, we've heard that Arsenal have reignited their interest in him again. Will Partey leave? That's another discussion. But Aston Villa, Pau Torres through the door as well. Let's not even forget Diego Carlos, who signed from Sevilla last season, who didn't even get a game. He tore his ACL in pre-season. So for them, that's, I hate this cliche quote, but it's like a new signing for them.
You know the most important signing Villa have made in recent years? Unai Emery. I think that he is a top manager.
Yeah, of course.
By all accounts, he ruined that club.
But I've, that's 100%. I've heard Aston Villa fans, right, say, I saw one on a podcast the other day, he said, I already know Unai Emery's going to be the best Villa manager ever. I already know that now.
No, but it's interesting.
You sound like Mike.
Exactly like Mike. That was just a general burn.
You listen to the Villa fans and they are waxing lyrical about their chances for next season. They're talking about Champions League, and let's face it, Champions League this season,
they got Conference
League
5
clubs.
They got Conference. I think they should be going to win that Conference League. I think the first 2 teams that have won it in Roma and West Ham have put a little bit of prestige on it. I'm not saying that I'm rushing to watch the Conference League group stages, because I'm not, but the first 2 teams to win it were like, okay, I actually felt that. Look at the parade in Stratford. It was ridiculous. So Villa should be targeting success. They should be targeting trying to win a trophy.
No, but what I was saying was,
if there's a man that can win a Europa League or a European trophy, it's Unai Emery
as well. So like, I think these clubs, as much as we talk about getting to the Champions League, which is obviously great, we saw Brighton get to a semi-final of an FA Cup. We saw Newcastle get to a final of Carabao. These clubs need to try to win some trophies.
No, but you know what it is as well. As I said, 5 clubs next year from the Premier League will enter the Champions League. And also, I'm pretty sure we'll all agree with this, that the Premier League next season could be the most competitive.
We say it every season. We say it every season.
No,
you say it every season. You said that last season.
I'm not having that.
You said that last season.
I'm not having that.
Okay.
We say that.
Let me land.
God damn. How many more times you gonna say this?
I'm preparing to land
every single year.
I'm preparing to land.
Seatbelt signs on.
If you look at it, get back in your seats. Put your seatbelts on. Preparing to land. So. The point I'm making is, you saw Arsenal. We did push City. Okay, fell apart a little bit towards the end, but we're there, right? You know that some of the other clubs, Chelsea, Liverpool, they're going to be there.
Can't rule them out, yeah.
Right? But just underneath that, you got Newcastle, you got Villa.
Yeah, you do.
And what I'm saying is, even if City do win the title next season, the competitive nature of the Premier League is going to be such that...
So you're not necessarily referring
they're
to
not going to run away with it.
But
Can I propose something, though? The Newcastles and the Brightons that have just entered Europe, I'm expecting a little drop-off in the Premier League. Now they're having to manage Europe because they weren't in Europe last season.
I was going to say.
So I'm not expecting this wave of like we're going to go and do another madness on top of what we did last year with extra games, and I'm not seeing massive amounts of squad improvement. I've seen some little shakes of Barnes and Tonali, but I'm not seeing anything astronomical to be.
And
like,
that's the thing.
whoa.
I feel like everyone's looking at this Villa team now like they're the Newcastle next season, and I'm like, I don't know whether it's kind of shiny toy syndrome. Pau Torres for me, I think as good a passer as he is, very much
you
not
can
the
get
greatest
him. You can
defender.
hit him.
Come Premier League, I feel like he's going to get chewed up. Moussa Diaby's the one.
Diaby's
who
the
I think
one.
is incredible signing, to be fair. And I think the money they've paid as well, I'm like, you know what, fair play. Villa are really backing Unai in a sense. And they backed Steven Gerrard as well last year, let's not forget. So they've got a decent squad, but I think that's the most important thing. Get back-to-back European qualifications this year. It's not about getting in Champions League, but Unai keeping them competitive in them European spots. But then also what you said there, Conference League. I think West Ham have now almost set the benchmark of you don't have to be the biggest club in the world or have the greatest history or anything like that to go and win the Conference
Europe
League.
League
but that might affect your Premier League form. And you might almost get relegated.
Look what it did to West Ham.
Guess what?
West Ham spent 200 million last summer, and they were in a relegation battle.
And guess what? they won silverware, and they're in the Europa League this year.
Yeah.
Who's laughing?
Who's laughing?
So
Exactly.
literally, like it was almost as if they did well in the league. Essentially,
And also on that competitiveness of it, I'm looking at City. They've not really done anything in the transfer.
Is there an argument to say
And
that
they're
you're a
losing
week?
some of
They
the-
don't have to.
Yeah, they could.
Cancelo's back.
They don't have to.
And don't
Cancelo to
forget-
Does he
Haaland.
patch things up with Pep?
Cancelo to Haaland.
Don't forget as well, this time last year, they had a certain Erling Haaland coming in. So,
For me,
they've not done anything seismic this
This is a
season.
team that's just won the treble, so I don't think they need seismic moves. I think they need one or two kind of pieces. I think they're in talks with Gvardiol.
Yeah.
He is the kind of piece that I think
That's a big
comes in, just locks up that back line a little bit more. But
But RB Leipzig don't need the money, apparently.
well,
That's what the director said.
I
Here we
thought-
go
I
was
thought
given
that-
4 days
Liverpool
ago.
just paid
Here
us
we
for
go was
Soboslai,
given,
so
so-
unless they're paying,
I'm going to
we
say
don't
here
need
and
the money.
now that they're not going to have it all their own way next season. Because I think that even if they do win it,
They didn't
the
have it all
margin
their-
will
but
be
they-
less.
They didn't have it all their
And
own
that's
way
down
last
to
season.
us. That's down to all of us.
Yeah, but they didn't. They
to
didn't,
make sure that
see, this is
doesn't
what I said.
happen.
You see what I said about the Losers Club? Did you hear that? It's all us. It's down to us. Last season, Man City didn't have it all their own way. They went through a really dodgy
badly, yeah.
patch of like people are like, that Man City team's not looking at how it was, but they always prevail. For me, they're freaks. And with Pep as manager, domestic leagues, his record, I'm not even looking at Man City as maybe they're gonna have a drop off. They've won 5 out of the last 6. I'll believe it when I see it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not gonna get on.
No,
this.
but I'm not just
'Cause they've
talking
signed,
City,
They've
though.
signed cover. They're looking at Vardiol. They're probably looking at Alicia. If they bring in those players, they haven't lost Bernardo Silva. Yeah, they've lost Gundogan. They've lost Walker, but it's Pep.
no, but I hear you.
Vardiol and Elise
Look what he
will
did
be
to
enough for
Akanji.
me.
No, but
I didn't
the
even know
point
who
I'm
that man
making
was.
is I'm not just talking about from a City perspective. I'm saying all round, the Premier League next season will be shark infested.
I hope it is. I hope it is.
I think teams like
Shark-infested
Brentford and
waters.
Fulham, I think those teams might drop off. No Tony, no Mitrovic. So I think it balances itself out.
Speaking of Brentford, we're hearing that Aston Villa, Brentford and Brighton and some Saudi teams are all interested in signing Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. I heard when he left there it was pretty nailed on that he'd be going to Villa. Those talks have kind of cooled. You've seen him training in America with his,
Villa can do better.
you know.
What's his injury status? You might be able
He's
to tell
fit.
us more. Is he?
As we sit here right now, he's fit. And when he left, Henderson said whoever gets him is getting a really fit 28-year-old player.
Yeah, because there's no doubt
approaching
about his
prime.
quality. I've always liked him. When
Bro,
he was
in
at
the
Arsenal.
17-18 season, before he got that injury, he was our best player. And maybe even one of the best attacking midfielders in Europe at that point. The 2 goals against City in the Premier League, Champions League. And he was so good. And actually, yes, he had loads of injuries, but even in the season that Liverpool won the league, he was the highest goal scoring midfielder.
No,
And he's
I've
won the
always
Premier
rated
League,
him.
Champions League
I've
with
seen him
Liverpool.
come up through the ranks at Arsenal. Always rated him.
So as a 28-year-old, there's still definitely a player there for the next 5 or 6 years. If you were him, where would you go?
Game time.
He's not going
Again,
to get
Villa, Brentford, Brighton, some Saudi teams as well. All
So they're
interested.
again, Villa,
Brentford and Brighton. Good teams to go to.
I think Brentford would be a
Brentford,
good.
yeah.
Brentford,
good,
stay
I
in
think
London?
Yeah, I think Brentford.
He just needs to.
Good manager as well.
He needs to get game time, man.
Yeah.
He starts in that team every week.
Yeah.
You reckon?
He should do if he's.
It's the kind of project that would excite him, wouldn't it?
Or go to Brighton and play in the midfield of Lallana and Milner.
Nah,
Like the old days.
No.
Lallana don't start.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Lallana and Milner are kind of their experienced OGs over
Yeah.
there. I don't think you need to crowd
You don't
up
need
with
I think
every-
Brentford would excite you
Yeah,
more. Don't
and
you?
that's the other thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I understand the comfortability of being with your ex-Liverpool teammates, but you don't want to just feel like it's part of the same. Yeah.
Some
Talking of Brentford, that the Tony, that would be a big miss for them.
That's what I'm
for
saying.
10 months.
That's what I'm saying. So like Fulham,
You've got to replace 20 goals.
Yeah, and I haven't seen anything yet in the market from them. Obviously, I think Fulham and Brentford, the amount of surprises they did last season in terms of big teams, fixtures taking off points, Tony and Brentford going to the Etihad and winning.
And I think it's evident now, as an Arsenal fan, that we need a
decent
striker.
job filling in sometimes.
Yeah.
Wissa and Mbembo. At
did.
times
And,
they did.
And he scored a few goals again.
Sade as well did a decent job second half of the season when he
Was that the guy
needed
that went
time.
to your stadium?
The German kid, I think.
Number
Yeah.
9.
And Wemo did a madness at your stadium, didn't he? At the end of the
he
season.
did.
I don't need reminding, please. And it's new season.
I was thinking, why did that
Didn't
name
they
come
do
up in
madness
your,
at
your
your
mind so
stadium?
fresh? Huh?
They did a madness at your stadium as well, no?
Oh, you forget that one? Huh? Oh, you forget that one? Talk to us about that one.
Sorry, I got
Yeah?
this, bloke.
My guy.
It's all right, man.
Everyone
To be
did
fair, they did a madness.
everyone did a madness at our
Everyone
stadium.
got a little something.
Everybody did a madness at our stadium.
Honestly, mate. But let us know where you think Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain ends up. They did do the double overseas. They did a madness over
I
everyone.
think the Brentford project looks like a good project for him.
Okay, well, listen, loads of transfer news that we've just spoken about. I'll round up some other bits before we touch on the pre-season results that we've seen so far. Harvey Barnes didn't even train once for Newcastle, but he played for them last night.
Good sign.
£38 million, again, dealing with that bigger schedule this season with the European games. He's going to have to biggen or make that squad bigger.
Looks like they may lose, what's his name though, isn't it?
Anthony Gordon.
No, not Anthony
He's got to
Gordon.
step up.
The other guy, the black guy.
St. Maximin.
Oh, St. Maximin, he's going to
He's
Saudi.
going to Saudi, yeah. I'm not surprised though, I'm not going to lie. I think as good as he was 1v1, he's a bit like, he will cook in the Saudi league though. He's a wild card.
Him and Mahrez.
So fun to watch.
In the Saudi league on the same team.
So fun to watch.
In that team as well?
That's the Jogo Bonito team
with
to watch.
Mendy and Koulibaly at the back?
I've realised every team out there is going for like a weird tactic. Like, is it Al Hilal have gone for the long shooters? They've got Neves and Milinkovic-Savic.
Shots from range
These
guys.
ones have gone for the trickster Samba boys up front. I'm like, Ronaldo's got the Avengers All-Stars. I was like, every team's
That's
going
why
for a particular brand. I'm
should
very
probably watch
locked
a
into the
few
Saudi
games.
league on telly.
I'll probably watch the games against each other. I'm not going to watch them.
You know what I was
Yeah.
thinking? If St.
yeah.
Maxima goes, can you imagine some of the highlight reels from out there? Because he's one of the most explosive
it's-
players.
Would he
he's
be
fun-
allowed
he's
to wear
fun
his
to watch.
Gucci headband out there?
He's fun to watch. But Harvey Barnes, I think, is like a little bit more...
a bit more reliable.
Yeah, like you know what you're going to get. You're not going to get the peaks of, the crazy skills.
He's not as
and whatnot.
explosive.
Yeah, he's not as...
He might get you... How many goals did he score for Leicester last
I think
year?
he'll give you them 7,
Harvey
8, 9,
Barnes?
7s. Every
Yeah.
give you
Yeah.
I
7.
like
do
the
that.
player though. I like that. I can see the reasoning behind that.
Yeah. Okay,
Although I was a fan of St. Maxima as well. But
I think most people were because of the way he played, but
he's
then
very
it's like, well, actually, where's the finishing product here?
He's one of those guys. If he gets it right in the day, watch out.
Yeah, honestly.
I mean-
On his day.
On his day.
But how many players?
Player.
When time draws over and we look back, we've said that for so many players.
Yeah.
The guy at Wolves.
Some of Adama Traore.
Yeah,
on his
same
day.
thing.
On his day, yeah.
He's an on his day guy.
Unplayable
I need
on his
every
day.
day. Right. Let's go on to some of the hot results in pre-season so far. Manchester City last night, they were actually 2-0 down away to Yokohama Marinos. And then Stones, Alvarez, Haaland and Rodri. I think
Didn't they make
Haaland got a
11
couple.
changes at half time?
Yep. 5-3 they won in the end. So they came back, and I think that was to launch their Asahi partnership as well. It's a Japanese beer, so I think they played over there. Fulham 3, Brentford 2. Did you see Harry Wilson's goal from the ref chest cam angle?
No.
I'd implore you to go and watch that. 'Cause it's
Harry Wilson's got some
tempers were
bangers.
flaring in this. Oh, mate, trust me, he did it at pre-season for Liverpool.
Derby as well.
Yeah.
Tempers were
3-2.
flaring, you
Tempers were flaring. João Palhinha, again, linked to Liverpool, various other teams, 70+ mil. he came out of the game with a sling. So whether that's a shoulder or an arm, I mean, maybe he's now ruled out, and maybe teams aren't in for him now, which is the worst time to get injured, isn't it?
Yeah.
Chelsea 4, Brighton 3.
Great game. Yeah.
How excited were you with the
bit of needle in that game?
Yeah, there was, because De Zerbi's been getting a bit disrespectful. He's been.
That's a bit of a derby in recent times.
Unfortunately, I'm not proud of it, but I have to say it has been. There's been a lot of beef between the two clubs, which is strange.
As there should be, considering what has gone on.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of transactions taking place. I would have thought there would have been good relations, but I don't know. We're still trying to get Caicedo off them as well. He didn't play in that game, but Mudryk scored a banger. Jackson looks good, but I'm trying to play it down.
Nkunku getting on the score sheet
got
as
a
well.
goal. Yeah,
Malo,
Pochettino, happy days. Gusto locked up Matoma as well. So yeah, listen, we got work to do. We got to get some.
Danny Welbeck on the score sheet. João Pedro. Did you see that rash tackle from Colwill?
Yes, that was disappointing. He had a good game up until that point, and then that tackle was just needless.
Let him down.
Yeah, let him down a little bit. But that Pedro guy, he made an impact.
Breakout
the new signing from Watford.
It's interesting on that whole thing about
right.
tackling and injuries. Ty made a point. Shout out to Ty. With the Arsenal Man United.
Well, we're getting on to that next. The
but he was saying
Martinez
that there may come a time when clubs might want to look at not playing Premier League clubs, not playing other Premier League clubs.
But it comes back down to that
because of the risk to injury.
15 million? Yeah, go on then.
And when he said it at first, I was like, but then when I thought about it deeper, I thought, you know what? It does make sense because
Liverpool playing.
Hype, man. Tell Saka toughen up, man.
Well, no, that was a disgraceful challenge.
It was.
That one from Lissandro, and we will speak about that. It was 2-0 to Man United. Bruno and Sancho getting the goals.
He went off injured in that game, no?
He did. He left on crutches, injury, non-contact. Arteta reflected on the game by saying, "I want to see the team hurting." And on the midfield trio of Rice, Odegaard, and Havertz, which we all understand will be the midfield going forward, he said,
Rice,
Odegaard and Havertz. When they play 55
party there, bro.
Well,
I think so.
Yeah, but again, you've bought Havertz, that's your shiny toy, so let's talk about him. When they play 55 times together, it will be better, they will flow better, they will understand each other better. We also saw Curtis Shaw asking Arteta if they're going to buy Mbappe. I love how he's with AFTV and he's like, yeah, Curtis Shaw TV.
Curtis's thoughts and opinions are his own.
100%, and they don't reflect the company's views. But a big defeat this. We were having a chat about this before. I said it doesn't really matter, but you're the other spectrum of that opinion, and you said this does matter now.
Listen, first and foremost, it wasn't a good game for Arsenal on so many levels. The big three, Timber, Havertz and Rice, didn't perform in this game. Timber, to more of a degree, did perform better than the other two, so that was disappointing in itself. I think Arsenal were disappointing on the day, lacked a bit of intensity, but pre-season games are important, and I just thought that we just didn't really show out. And it was interesting that before the game, speaking to a lot of Arsenal fans, including the guys I did the watch along with, they all thought that Arsenal were going to romp this game. I was like, right, it's Man United we're playing, and they're not going to just go and lie down.
United talking about.
I mean, there is a school of thought that says there's no such thing as a friendly when you play certain teams like United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham. You know what I mean? There's no such thing as a friendly, bro. You saw last season when disrespect, we smoked Chelsea.
You did smoke.
What was the score in that one?
3-1.
Yeah.
Is that a smoke?
Massive.
No, but in terms of the way we played that day.
When you watched the game, it was a smoking. It was a massive indicator of where the season was going.
And we carried that momentum into the season.
Big indicator.
Now, if you look at it logically, drew with Nuremberg, okay, some people say, But then, okay, we played MLS All-Stars, smoked them 5-0, but then that's nothing special. Yeah. But Man United, not only did we lose...
And it was a pretty full-strength team.
Yeah, and we lost. Let's face it. We lost.
They were better.
Yeah.
We lost.
They're beating.
Yeah.
I think your midfielder was what.
And if we play Barcelona on Wednesday and perform indifferently in that game, that is a poor pre-season.
And then if you lose the first game in the Premier League, all of a sudden... It can go so quickly.
and let's not forget the week before that. Let's not forget the week before that. We play a certain Man City in the community.
The curtain raiser.
So there are something on these games.
We beat City in that last year.
There are something on these games, right?
Remember Haaland missed that chance, and I was like,
when you brought in the big money signings that we've done, then
pressure's on, mate.
I didn't like your midfield was not it at all against Man United. Like Rice, I think
that's what it's going to be from what we're hearing.
This is the thing. I said it before. Like Rice long term is going to be, I'm sure, a great signing. But in terms of the short term, what he has to do to match what Partey was doing last season is very difficult. Partey was incredible up until the latter part of the season when he started making mistakes. Arsenal were basically perfection up until the last part of the season, maybe February. They'd only dropped points twice up until January. So for Rice to come in there and play that pivotal 6 role, it's difficult. New system. He's not used to playing that manner at West Ham. So and Havertz. Don't even get me started on Havertz.
Well, me and you had conversations.
In that game, though,
me and you had conversations, and I said from time I couldn't see where that was coming from.
For me, you got to get Partey in that team again. Maybe even
Partey and Rice as a double pivot,
and Odegaard in the 10 and leave.
Do you know you have to give massive credit to in that game though? Kobe Mino for United.
Yes, he was good.
I thought he was quality.
Really good.
Start for them in the
he played in the 6.
He's someone who I think is going to break through
squad
this year.
He kind of flew under the radar.
You talk about kind of Hannibals and all these over the past years. I think he might be the one Ten Hag is like, nah. I think you've got the minerals. Angel Gomez. You've heard all these names.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah, but I think he could be the one that actually looks like, you know what? Because the way some of the passes he was playing on the ball, I was like, bro.
I must admit, I was.
You don't get that from McTom.
Yeah, man, that's crazy.
I must admit, I was quite impressed with the way United played and the way they approached the game. They seemed to have more intensity than us. The first goal certainly was a goalkeeping error, and there wasn't too much in it up until that point.
Yeah, it's not great from Rice.
But it's very disappointing.
Liverpool currently 2-1 up away at Firth. Darwin Núñez,
the mighty. Who are they playing?
Scored Firth.
The mighty.
What league are they in?
God knows. I've got absolutely no idea. Well, there, who knows. A couple other bits and bobs that are coming up. I mean, again, Arsenal play Barcelona. Is it Wednesday night?
Wednesday night. Early hours of Thursday morning.
Obviously, we were hearing that the Barca players have come down with some kind of virus.
I would imagine it'll be all right by.
Like you said, if you lose that game, the negativity does start to creep in a little bit.
It does.
Maybe a bit of panic stations. What is our best formation? These are the times when you need to test it out. And if you are losing a game, I don't think obviously you shouldn't take it as seriously as if you lose a Champions League or a Premier League game. But like you said, going back to your point, Arsenal's pre-season so far could have been better.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like I said, the first game, Nuremberg, we drew. Everyone said, it's only Nuremberg. We're just, it's the first pre-season game. MLS All-Stars, fair enough. Smoked them 5-0 without too much problem. But then you play United, and let's face it, many people would say we were well beaten on Saturday. Mm-hmm. So then you go into this game with Barcelona. If we don't perform or we perform indifferently, there are going to be those question marks. I mean, listen, with new big money signings, it almost raises the ante amongst fans and everything else, doesn't it? So when things quite don't go your way,
that's it, man.
It's a different level of scrutiny.
I think the big thing for me was that left back position. You need Zinchenko playing there instead of Tomiyasu. In terms of what he can do on the ball, Zinchenko, big difference to Tomiyasu. And especially when you've got someone like Kai Havertz, who, like I said, don't get me started, playing in that left.
But Tierney come in and he played well.
Yeah, Tierney can come in and play well. Obviously, he plays the position differently. But if you're talking about somebody like Zinchenko tucking in and progressing the ball to Kai and keeping him out of the midfield and putting him more in the attack, that's the only way I can see some sort of flourishing, season from Kai.
The alternative to that argument is one that I subscribe to, which is that Kieran Tierney is a better defender than Zinchenko.
He is,
and a defender's job first and foremost is to defend.
And Kai defensively is way worse than Xhaka, so you got a problem to balance that out.
I must admit, with the Kai Havertz thing, I'm going to give the manager and Edu and the rest of those guys the benefit of the doubt. For me, I did not see that signing.
It's one of the most confusing signings
I'd agree.
in a long time.
But I'm prepared to...
Very underwhelming for what they could have got.
I kind of worry that Arteta almost trying to figure... Well, I don't worry, but Arteta trying to figure out Kai Havertz all season could undo the work. And
I think Havertz was brought in to provide midfield cover, but also to maybe provide a goal-scoring threat up top. But then you look at his record at Chelsea since he's been there. And even on Saturday, he had an opportunity.
He's not shown that he's a goal scorer. He doesn't strike the ball.
No, but I think that maybe Arteta's thinking...
He had a great header that he looped over the bar as well.
Yeah.
I'm also looking at Fabio Vieira. I'm looking at Smith Rowe. These players in this little advanced 8 position.
But forget about that. I'm looking at a striker as well, because as much as I love Jesus, he's not what you would call a prolific goal scorer. And it has to be said, the attacking option of Eddie, it's not quite working out.
Would you keep Balogun?
I would give Balogun a chance.
I think Jesus is going to have a season this year. I think this season is going to be kind of the year where he really puts it together. Because last year I feel like he was kind of en route to good numbers. The big injury spell, missed a lot of big chances. But
is it right to assume that he's never been in his whole career so far a prolific goal scorer?
Has he been given a chance?
That's the question.
Arsenal's been the first chance, and he's basically got the injury. I'm saying.
Well, listen, I hope you're right.
I could see easily 17
goals.
He's
good enough to score 20. It's just, does he stay
that.
fit and get the chance?
He should. I always felt.
I think 17, 18 goals this year.
15 to 20. Yeah, he has to.
Yeah.
But if we are going to, and I don't want to take over the debate on this. I know you got other things to talk about. If Arsenal are going to have that season that Arsenal fans want, namely to challenge for the league, to do well in the Champions League, we are going to need somebody that's going to get a hat full of goals.
Well, listen, there's 5 weeks to go until this window shuts.
Salah Mane vibes.
Just a sad bit of news to actually bring you here. It's just been confirmed that Nottingham Forest legend Trevor Francis has sadly passed away.
Wow.
Yeah.
The first £1 million player.
Yeah. Really sad
Damn.
that. The first £1 million football player, I'm not too sure at the minute, it's trending on Twitter, but he, the Nottingham Forest European Cup winner, scored the goal in the final.
I mean, I'm below my age a little bit now, but I can remember him well when he was playing.
Yeah, so he's a great pundit as well. Rest in peace to Trevor Francis, man. That's
rest in peace.
Not what we want to see.
That's a shocker.
Big shock to the footballing world, and obviously our thoughts at DR Sports are with the family. One more super chat before we end the show. Man United giving Arsenal a reality check, not going to lie. Says Sachiv. Obviously all the guys are out in America right now. Amazing content, even if you're not an Arsenal fan. I've been watching all the vlogs.
And I want to say as well,
out there,
right, that
Curtis, Lee,
as I referenced
James.
before, it's disappointing, but it should be taken into context. It's a pre-season friendly, so whilst it was disappointing, there is lots of room to work.
100%, and there always is in
the Premier League season is 3 weeks away, so there's still time to get it right, man.
Just about, but time is ticking.
Time is running.
There's still some massive seismic chess moves to happen with Kane, with Mbappe, with other players as well that have been linked to all these clubs. Nice one, lads. Really good speaking to you all today, of course, on the transfer roundup. Don't forget, every Monday and Thursday during the window we'll have this show for you, as well as your daily transfer updates whenever something big happens as well. Shout out to Laurie, Matisse as always, and Fuad. As I said, make sure you like the video, comment with your thoughts on what we've spoken about, and subscribe to the channel. Take care, we'll see you soon. All the best.